Normally, I have a drink in these videos, but somebody didn't buy milk today.
I'm sorry.
Let's get on with the video. The beauty of John Carpenter's 1982 classic, The Thing, is that the ultimate fate of the two main characters is left completely up to the audience's imagination. That is, unless of course you read the Dark Horse comic books, which established that, after surviving the ordeal in the Arctic outpost, R.J. MacReady went on to live a long, full life full of indiscriminate sheep murder. I love my job. Indiscriminate sheep murder is a sentence I get to say and then get paid for. Isn't life fantastic sometimes, folks?
See, you may be going about how great your job is, but I bet there's people doing 9 to 5s at the moment with a nice cup of tea.
Yeah, fuck off.
So for anyone who doesn't mind the spoiler...
Okay, for like a 40-year-old movie at this point.
We've already talked about several times.
Yes.
How does The Thing end?
It ends with R.J. MacReady, played by the beardiest Kurt Russell you've ever seen, and Childs, played by known hero of this earth, Keith David, just sat amongst the smouldering wreckage of an Arctic outpost that has been virtually destroyed by an evil, shape-shifting alien. Damn it, so close.
It's the lack of tea, isn't it?
It is. If I had a tea in my hand right now, I'd be able to relax.
Would be finished.
Instead, I'm stressed, mate. I need tea. I need big tea in my life.
What happened to your other kind of...
I drank it.
Is that more?
Why do you think I'm so on edge? I've had 2 energy drinks already. I'm hungover, I've had 2 energy drinks. I'm in a t-shirt that's 2 sizes too fucking small. That makes me look fat, apparently. What?
I love how mad you get about that when you're like literally the opposite of fat now.
I go to the gym every single day and I still get called fat. This gives people a complex, people.
It's fine, man. It's fine. We'll talk about The Thing. You can calm down.
Yeah, and then I'll get a cup of tea. Oh, no, I can't! No!
We'll go to the shop. I'll get some milk.
Right, the thing is, though, the clip I want you to mention, because we're talking about R.J. MacReady murdering a bunch of sheep, is the line in Father Ted where Mrs. Doyle has special sheep tea.
What? I do have some sheep tea in the kitchen.
And even the sheep that we're talking about in this Get Tea, I don't.
The Thing is one of those movies that is famous for having ambiguous ending.
Yes, and like the ultimate fate of Childs and MacReady isn't known, and we don't know whether either man is a thing. Because obviously, if you don't watch The Thing, like the whole plot of the movie is that the Thing, the titular thing, can assimilate people and assume the form of anybody it comes into contact with after murdering the fuck out of them. So you don't know whether Childs or MacReady are a thing. And the ending of the film is it's nihilistic in a way. They just share a drink to their mutual distrust of one another, knowing that they're going to die regardless. And there's a lot of fan theories out there. I think the one is that Childs is a thing because there's the theory is you can't see his breath, so the thing can't breathe. Even though in the Blu-ray copy of the movie you can clearly see Childs' breath during that scene. It's just like the version people saw wasn't very clear.
The other one is that he's drinking gasoline.
Yeah, they say, it's from his Molotov cocktail earlier. And it's like, these are all things, these are all fan theories that have neither been confirmed nor denied by John Carpenter, who I consider to be the ultimate authority on what the ending of the film is. And according to him, it's ambiguous as fuck. By design, it's supposed to be, unless, of course, you went and read the comics, in which you found out that, oh no, Childs and MacReady both survived and were both very much human. Because in a Dark Horse comic called The Thing from Another World, it's established that both MacReady and Childs just walked to the Antarctic coastline and were picked up by a Japanese whaling ship.
Because they were definitely in a condition to do that at the time.
Despite the fact that at the end of the thing, they're going to be on the very precipice of death and are out of food and supplies and all that shit. No, they walked 100 or so miles to the coastline and got picked up by a Japanese whaling ship. It's never established how they survived. Yeah. And what happens is MacReady then gets a flamethrower and helicopters his way back to the remains of the Arctic outpost and flamethrowers the remains of the Thing for good measure, because old habits die hard in the Thing universe.
Before we carry on,
yes,
these comic books, are they considered to be canon?
They are and they aren't. It depends whether you want to believe they're canon or not. I do, because they're hilarious, as we'll discuss in a moment, but there is a video game set directly after the events of The Thing, which also establishes that R.J. MacReady survives. He's the helicopter pilot who picks you up at the end of the game, and that's his cameo in it, and obviously it's never explained there how he survived or whether or not he's a thing.
So what's your name, smartass? MacReady. R.J. MacReady.
So what happens to R.J. MacReady after he decides to go and re-flamethrower the dead thing?
Well, what happens then is he goes on a series of globe-trotting adventures, including one where he blows up another thing with a hand grenade, and then, some time spent aboard a submarine where there is, you guessed it, another thing. So at this point, it's like Jaws, isn't it? Where like the guy is being followed by sharks. Like everywhere he goes, he gets attacked by sharks. So I think there's even one. I might be missing. This might be like the Mandela effect in most, but I distinctly recall in one of the Jaws like sequels, like someone looks out of a window on a plane and sees the shark following them. I might be misremembering this, but at this point, like R.J. MacReady's life in the comics is just full of the Thing. The Thing just stalks him from continent to continent. The comic we're going to talk about today is where he ends up in an Argentinian research base. So I'll set the scene for you. R.J. MacReady arrives in an Argentinian research base and is understandably painfully paranoid after his multiple run-ins with a shape-shifting murderous alien. And as a result, MacReady refuses to believe that he's safe and starts suspiciously eyeing a nearby flock of sheep, believing that one of them must be a Thing.
With no reason.
He sees these sheep, like, they're out there being sheep, with their general sheepy sheepness, and he's not having that. So what he does, and this is great, after people tell him, like, they're not things, you're being paranoid, mate, they're just some sheep, he goes, no, they're not, I'll prove it to you, and he goes out in the dead of night with a machine gun and just machine guns the entire flock of sheep while screaming like his dick is touching a hot iron. And then he's immediately, tackled to the ground and, put in, a cell because he's going crazy. Fun fact, I wrote the article this video is based on purely based on the strength of this image right here. Because I was like, I wonder what happened to MacReady in the comics, because comics are always dumb. And he just says, oh yeah, here's MacReady just machine gunning a flock of sheep. And what made me go, okay, I need to write about this. People need to know, is this sheep in particular, Brad's going to zoom in on. This sheep is the most content motherfucker I have ever seen. And it's currently being machine gunned. It's just so calm. It's like, this is my lot in life and I'm happy with it. Do you know what my favourite part about this comic is though?
What?
MacReady is 100% right, because one of the sheep is revealed to be a Thing and it survives his woolly rampage.
It's that one.
It might just be.
It knows it's fine.
That's why it's so content. And his time in the Nauticon is cut short when the sheep Thing starts brutally murdering everybody. So the film's established that the Thing is quite smart, and that's why obviously it blends in with that flock of sheep. It thinks like something that people wouldn't suspect, something innocent like in a group of animals. But imagine if the Thing was an idiot, and to blend it to a giraffe. But imagine as well if everyone else in the universe is also an idiot. So MacReady looks out the window, sees a flock of sheep with just a giraffe there, and goes, "That's a Thing." It's not. Why is it a giraffe? Because maybe it's a tall sheep. We don't know.
What's that scene in Rick and Morty with the parasites?
Oh yeah,
They're all trying to decide which ones are the real ones, and some of them are obviously not real.
That's the one. We can get Mr. Poopy Butt Butt, don't you? What the fuck his name is?
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But you have what I think is probably one of my favourite things in a cartoon is the bit at the end where they show him learning how to walk again. Because he's so fucking harsh. Just smash cut to him learning to walk.
He's looking a lot better.
It's like, he's asked you to leave because it's so fucking harsh. I was creasing. Why did you put this in? It's so unbelievably just brutal.
He told me to tell you he's sorry you didn't have bad memories of him.
Well, yeah, imagine that the Thing was doing that. Like, he just assumes the most ridiculous form possible.
So I'm assuming at this point MacReady has to go and deal with that sheep.
Yes, presumably while screaming "I told you so" through teeth clenched so tightly, his fillings turn to diamonds.
I'm seeing a bit of a problem here though. This is just like enabling MacReady's behaviour of looking at a random group of animals.
The Thing can be anything. But after this, he just goes on a series of globe-trotting adventures where he just flamethrowers things, a more flamethrowery version of Carmen Sandiego. He just goes around murdering everything. And this is the best bit, the comic, like the film, ends on a cliffhanger.
So the movie's famous cliffhanger, that tense moment between two maybe not things. Do we have that replicated in the comic?
To a degree. If by that you mean, does R.J. MacReady punch the last surviving Thing in the face while riding a wave caused by an exploding supertanker?
That's nothing like it.
I know, but you know what? That'd be a pretty good movie. I have to mention though that seemingly to balance out how badass that scene is, RJ MacReady is then knocked over by a wave just before he can crush the last vestiges of the thing beneath his boot.
Yay!
Now, Brad, you're not fully comprehending what happens here because let me just put this in context. Like RJ MacReady, a human man, overpowers an immortal, ageless alien life form with the collective intelligence and abilities of a trillion assimilated life forms with his bare hands, and he's then knocked over by a wave and hits his head on a rock. And that, canonically, according to the comics, is how the story of RJ MacReady ends, with him just tripping and hitting his head on a rock. Aren't comics fun? In the spirit of what we talked about in today's video, Brad, let's discuss our favourite examples in fiction of characters who inexplicably just have the same shit continually happen to them. Because the idea that RJ MacReady inexplicably encounters the same alien life form like 16 separate times is ridiculous. And to jump us off, I'm going to start with John McClane.
Oh, see, this one I always like. 1 and 3 are fine.
Yes.
Because 3, someone seeks him out. 1 is the first one.
Yeah.
But 4, he just happens to go to the door of someone involved in this conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, he even says it in the second one, how can the same shit happen to the same guy twice? Isn't there 5?
Yeah, 5th one's the one with his son that I haven't seen.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to make a 6th one,
Yeah.
dovetail the series. I think something like Die Hardest or something like that, or some stupid type. But yeah, and I think even John McClane himself notes how ridiculous it is. It keeps happening to him.
Like films where there's loads of sequels, like Rocky, you get away with it for a little bit because it's like, oh, he's always going to be having new fights.
Because he's the world champion.
Yeah, but then they have to find new reasons why he keeps either coming back or needing to have a harder fight.
Yeah, like he goes from fighting the heavyweight champion of the world to like Rocky 4 fighting a genetically engineered Russian ubermensch. The kings of this trope, though, it's got to be comic books. Because they've been going for so long. It's like how many times have some comic characters just died and come back to life? It's ridiculous. How many times has Superman died? How many times has like Spider-Man lost his powers? Like, how many times has like Dr. Octopus escaped from jail just over and over and over again?
Speaking of things, prisons and things happening to people over
Prison
and over again.
Break!
Wentworth Miller and
Yeah,
the fact that he can't stay away from a prison.
I'm still pissed off that they didn't do the joke idea someone floated around for a bit where he has to escape from space. Like, the thing is, like, the planet becomes a prison and he's got to escape to another planet. But they keep making, like, the scenarios more and more implausible. So I was always annoyed and miffed that they didn't do is got to escape from, like, an entire island. Or what about video games? How many times is Samus going to lose all her abilities? It's like, she has the Hyper Beam at the end of Super Metroid and loses that shit. How did you lose Hyper Beam?
How many times are the Dragon Realm going to let Spyro clean up all the mess when he's clearly the youngest?
How many times is Crash Bandicoot going to let Neo Cortex try and take over the world?
Yeah.
I love as well, like Neo Cortex. Have you ever heard like the lore behind why he's only got hair here? No. Apparently he used hair regrowth serum, that works, but he only used it on the sides of his head. That's canon in the Crash Bandicoot universe.
Why?
Because he's fucking sick. He's like, you know what, I just want hair here. And he's voiced by Clancy Brown. It's sick. It's better though when the premise is so stupidly specific that you can't believe a sequel happens because it's so unbelievable that it happened in the first place. Like Sharknado. Like, the premise of that film is a tornado goes over a school of sharks on water and then drags them all onto land. But it happens like 5 times. Like, how many times a tornado is going to make it just rain shark?
It'll get to the point where they have to build their cities to be shark rain-proof.
Because it just every now and again it just rains shark.
It's just, they'll have it on the calendar. It's like, oh, this month is like the weather
Monsoon
forecast.
season, yeah. Don't go to Hawaii during this period because it just rains sharks. Go, well, thank me, I'm not going there then.